This Freight 208 2024 Betting's Pick edition of the NASCAR Gambling Podcast here on the Sports Gambling Podcast Network is brought to you by Gametime, home for the lowest price last-minute tickets. Download the Gametime app today and use promo code SGPN for $20 off. We're also brought to you by Underdog Fantasy. Play Underdog's Pick'em for a chance to win 100x. Promo code SGPN at UnderdogFantasy.com for a 100% deposit match. We're also brought to you by Hall of Fame Bets, the sports betting research platform for parlays, player props, and game lines. Download the Hall of Fame Bets app or visit hofbets.com. Use code SGPN to get 50% off of your first month and start making smarter bets today.
Driver, start your engine!
Strap in and pull those belts up tight as the Sports Gambling Podcast Network presents the NASCAR Gambling Podcast.
I'll wreck my mom to win a championship. I'll wreck your mom to win a championship.
With all the news and the best bets for your NASCAR weekend.
It refrains me from not beating the out of you right now because you asked me stupid questions. But since I'm on probation, I suppose that's improper to say as well. If you could talk about racing things, we could talk about racing things.
Now, here are your hosts, Rod Villagomez and Cody Zeeb.
Welcome in to another episode of the NASCAR Gambling Podcast. It's fun until it sucks. We are here. It is Cody Zeeb. I am Rod Villagomez, and we are here talking yet another super speedway-ish race.
I don't know if ish is applicable. It's super speedway, Rod.
Okay, it's super speedway race. Atlanta is where we go next. We just got done with Daytona. We don't get a chance to catch our breath before we get back.
Yes, we don't need to catch our breath, Rod. It's racing season. Let's go.
It is racing season. And hey, listen, by the way, thank you, Books.
Yes.
The truck odds.
Shout out to Caesars. Look, the Truck Series race at Daytona was like 4 weeks ago at this point, right? And I know that the Daytona 500 was just yesterday and Xfinity was just yesterday. We didn't think we'd get a show in today. We did the F1 show earlier, which go back and check that out, F1 Gambling Podcast. We talked IndyCar, but on the F1 show.
IndyCar a la
It's
F1,
the IndyCar Gambling Podcast. But win totals for IndyCar, so that was a lot of fun. Definitely go back and check that out. But we didn't think we would get a NASCAR show in today because at that point, still this afternoon, no odds at all. Then all of a sudden, Caesars comes out. They got the full slate of trucks before anything else. Now they've got full Cup and Xfinity too. So guess what we're doing the next 2 days? Talking Cup and then Xfinity for sure. So but it's great. So yeah, again, thank you to the books. Actually on top of it this time. And this is how it should be every week anyways, because the Truck Series always races first anyways. But yes, thank you, books. We appreciate it. We like to rag on you at points. But this time we're happy about it. Ready to talk some racing in Atlanta. It's going to be great. Catch up on the chat. More content from my favorite podcasters. Hell yes, as old-fashioned football. Shout out to Justin and Miranda there. Nick Fortune talking about Truck Series, putting $5 bet on Jack Wood.
Might as
Matt
well.
Jones, what's up? What's up, Matt? And Nick Fortune wants to know if it's an error that Kyle Busch is plus 300 to win the race. To be honest with you, I'm surprised he's that short. I don't know if you know this. Kyle Busch has over 100 wins in the Truck Series, and we'll get into it. We'll discuss it, right? I gotta look. I haven't even looked at Rod's bets yet, so I will be surprised when I open the document. Maybe I won't even. Well, I'll have to open the document to read mine, but interested to see who Rod's on now. So there we go.
I'm on everybody that I was on last week. No, I'm just kidding.
I just joke about that, but
I know
I
you.
feel like I copied and pasted a few because, like,
I was gonna say I opened the doc up and I was like, these names look familiar.
We'll get into it, Rod, but there's just no respect given, and I don't understand. We'll get into it, but yeah, it's not gonna lie. I got a few different plays in there, and some numbers are different on some things, but a lot of the same guys are coming back up because it's like they copied and pasted last week's odds, which great. Thank you. I appreciate it because we'll hit them again.
Yeah. And again, we were just thankful that they're out because look, at more often than not, we were waiting till Wednesday, and the truck race was either on Thursday or Friday, and it was always just a race to the when are we going to get the odds. And so to have them on a Tuesday, that is
oh God, it is, dude. I'm so lost this week. The Daytona 500 being on Monday just threw everything off. I kept thinking it was Monday today. Now I just thought it was Wednesday. I don't even know what's going on.
Yeah. Again, we are at Atlanta, but we put Daytona in the rear view, but not before, Cody. We have a winner to pick for our Daytona 500 contest. We promised that you would be able to see who won on the show. We'd announce it here. But here's the thing. 2 of you got it right. Cody, who were the 2 that got it right?
Yeah, we did have 2 winners. They both picked William Byron. Thank you to everyone that entered. We had Corey and Daryl. So I probably won't give out their last names just because we don't know for sure. But yes, Corey and Daryl. So, Rod, we're going to flip a coin to determine the winner since it's only 2. We don't have to go with the random wheel. So Corey's heads, Daryl's tails. How's that sound?
I like it. Okay.
Right.
You said Daryl's tails.
Yep. And Daryl's tails, Corey's heads.
All right.
Who wins?
Here we go. Ready? And flip. If you're listening to this, and it's heads.
Yes, Corey is the Daytona 500 contest winner. Shout out to him. Daryl, we're going to get you a hoodie too as well for getting the correct pick. So awesome job. We'll reach out to both of you and make sure. And Daryl's actually in the chat right there.
Wait,
so,
Daryl?
Yeah, buddy. And I know he's a big William Byron fan. So yeah, there we go. So
yeah, sorry about that. We'll definitely look. We'll run another contest. You guys, what you don't understand is that you guys crushed it this week. You made it the most. I mean, we're already not even through February yet, and our numbers are better than last February's already. And we're still going.
It's been great. Bosses have been happy, it sounds like. So yeah, we'll definitely have more contests. That's because you guys help us out. You subscribe to the YouTube. I mean, our YouTube has grown a lot recently, so we really appreciate it. Nick Fortune wants a recount. Nick, who was your pick? Because I don't think they won. William Byron beat them. So
William Byron whenever.
Unless you had Alex Bowman, that's maybe the only. I think there was one guy that had Alex Bowman, and there's been some controversy on whether Bowman maybe won that race, but I don't think that there's really much merit to that. So
it depends on which out of space satellite you're looking at the time.
Who you think won?
Yeah, it's literally that's what it comes down to. I've seen so many pictures from so many different tweets that are like, oh, and this is the moment where, and then it's Lightning McQueen's tongue sticking out is really what.
Oh yeah, that's always exactly.
Yeah,
Daryl's just glad 24. Look at that, true fan. Just glad the 24 won.
Love it.
Steven had Chastain. There was a lot of. I would say I was looking through all the responses. Chastain and Hamlin definitely the most popular. We'd have had to get the full wheel out with everybody's name on it if those guys won. But ended up with just the 2 guys. So congrats to you 2. We will get your prizes to you. Rod, I wanted to read. We got a few Apple podcast reviews here lately.
Hold that thought.
Okay.
Let's read those.
Hold that thought.
Let's read those because I want to give them their full due.
Good idea.
I want to be able to give them all their deserving rewards because you guys, again, by leaving us reviews, help the bosses know that we're doing the right thing. So we'll be back with those reviews. But first, let me remind you how much buying tickets sucks balls. It depends on where you're going and what you're doing. But look, the end result is that you get stressed out because you don't know whether or not you're going to get gouged. You're not going to get the right tickets. You're not going to get them authentic. You're not going to get them in time. I literally every time read this, I get anxiety and I just need to be talked down and maybe put a cuddle and some candles and I don't know. But you know what? No, because Gametime is taking away all that stress from me because Gametime not only gives me the better prices on last minute tickets, but it also guarantees that they're going to be authentic, guarantees that they're going to be on time, that I won't have to sit and wait for them to be delivered to me and even have to wait on my phone to get an email. They're going to get them right away for me. Plus, it's made for my phone, which means it's going to all happen on my phone, and I get a picture of what my seat looks like when I'm looking out over the stage or whatever I'm looking at. I get a picture right from my seat. What other app does that for you? None. I'm going to tell you right now, you go snag those tickets without the stress with Gametime. Download the Gametime app, create an account, use code SGPN for $20 off of your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, create an account and redeem code SGPN for $20 off. Download Gametime today. Last minute tickets, lowest price guaranteed. You know, we love us some Underdog fantasy, and we are going to make sure that we give you plenty of Underdog plays for the slate. Now that the books have given us odds at a timely manner, we can definitely dedicate an episode to Underdog and DFS. So we'll do that. Underdog has a way to play alongside your favorite fantasy players all season long. NBA, NHL, college basketball, NASCAR, F1, all 3 series of NASCAR too. Simply pick higher or lower, better or worse on your favorite fantasy players, stats, and cash in. You can win 100x with some spicy plays. So watch along, make your picks, maybe make a little cash over on Underdog's mobile app or website, underdogfantasy.com. When you sign up with the promo code RACE SGPN, Underdog's going to double your first deposit up to $100. It's Underdog Fantasy promo code RACE SGPN. All right, Cody, let's read some of those reviews. We love you guys for this, and we definitely appreciate all your reviews, especially the 5-star ones. They make me feel all fluffy inside.
Yes, the 5-star ones are the best ones. We do appreciate it. Thank you very much. If you do leave an Apple review, shoot us a DM on Twitter, X, Discord, Facebook, whatever. Got these stickers for you. If you want a NASCAR Gambling Podcast sticker, I guess I could actually, wow, I don't even know where the camera's at. There you go. Gets that weird glare on it, but it's yellow. It's beautiful. I got mine placed over here. So get yours as well. All right. Yeah. So we're gonna read these off. We'll read your review. If you've left one before, you can go in and update it. Helps the algorithm and all that fun stuff. So best in the business. These guys know their stuff on NASCAR. They're entertaining, give out winners on a weekly basis. I definitely find time throughout my busy week to listen to every episode by Let's Racing Boys, which, first of all, what a name. All right. We appreciate that. That's awesome. Win. These guys know their stuff and give out nonstop winners. Excited for another season of entertaining picks, conversation, and cashing bets by Husker Fan. There we go. I like that.
That's Cody's alter ego.
That's my burner account. Great podcast, 5 stars. Really enjoy this podcast. Very informative. Actual race fans, not just sports bettors spewing nonsense. Love that they cover all 3 series. Keep up the good work, fellas. We are definitely race cans through and through. Stony Pete, we appreciate that. And then great listen. Guys have a passion for racing, and why not try to win a little money on the side with their great advice? Thanks for the great conversation by Bravo Sierra 89. So we appreciate the reviews. Keep them rolling in. It's awesome. Also to our chat, we appreciate you guys. So wanted to catch up on everyone. Steven said he had Chastain. I think I already talked about that. But Nick Fortune had Kyle Busch. I think that was a good pick. Unfortunately, you still lost, Nick. So Justin said he doesn't remember who he had. I was surprised it wasn't Joey Logano as much as Justin was talking him up. I think it was Chase Elliott, but I'd have to go back and look for sure. Daryl said it was a hell of a race. It was that. Yeah, that's Andrew checking in. Appreciate you, Andrew. Felt so bad for Joey. I know he's a big Joey Logano fan. So yeah, man, he was fast. He has won at Atlanta before, so we'll get into the Cup picks obviously later this week. And Daryl said, so excited to see what he gets from us. Feels like he won something, even though Cody's an Elliott fan. Why you got to take shots at Elliott? Jeez, come on.
It's easy. It's low-hanging fruit. He's the most popular driver on God's green earth.
You know what we have for you, Dill? We have
dun. That's a nice
Gambling Podcast hoodie. So
I'll
hit you up after the show and get your stuff. So, all right. What else, Rod? What else is going on?
I mean, listen, I'm anxious to get to Atlanta. Like,
yeah,
this.
I think so too.
So
we do have only 32 trucks entered for this race. That's a little bit concerning. I guess maybe the back-to-back super speedway thing's a little tough on the truck teams. Probably 32 trucks. There can be 36, so they obviously will all make it. So we don't have to worry about anyone not making the race this week. Number 7 is going to be Kyle Busch, aforementioned. He's obviously going to be the super favorite at plus 300. He'll be in that 7 Spire truck, the first of his 5 races. Again, if you're newer to this, I know we've got some new listeners that are newer to betting on NASCAR, following NASCAR. Veteran drivers that have 3 years or more in the Cup Series are allowed to run 5 races in Xfinity and also 5 races in the Truck Series. So guys like Kyle Busch can only run 5. Guys like John Hunter Nemechek, who's only in his 2nd full-time season in the Cup Series, can run basically as many as he wants. There are certain races they're not allowed to race in the playoffs when it gets to the playoffs for those series, so we won't have Cup guys then. And then there are certain races that are selected throughout the season, which we'll talk about when we get to those races that they're not allowed to race in either. So, as far as other notable drivers on the list, I don't think there is any actually.
I mean, I'm seeing names like Mason Maggio, Keith McGee.
Yeah, but
like,
I said notable, Rod.
Well, no, I know, but I'll talk about one here in a second.
Okay, there you go. So it will be notable when Rod covers it. But yeah, I mean, really, he's kind of the only one. Corey LaJoie, obviously, in that truck last week. This week it's going to be Kyle Busch, and then we don't really have anyone else that is a crazy surprise entry or really that notable for the Truck Series. So, with that being said, we need to make fantasy picks, Rod.
How did we do last week?
Well, that's exactly what I was going to look at right now. Based on Phil's text to me, I think we kicked their ass, is what he said.
Oh,
I had not looked at the standings. So let's see. Current season. We are in first place.
Yes.
Wow, we're killing them. 346 points for us. NASCAR betting preview show. Again, those are the guys we're going head to head against. They're picking as well. They're at 239. So nice, solid start to the season, but we got another wild card this week. So we'll see how that goes. And then, yeah. So also, I noticed, I want to see, I should find a way to do this better. But so I know we made all those picks, but you only start certain people. So it was only like our first pick of each one that actually
starting.
And yeah. So yeah, you pick, it's 1A driver, 2B drivers, and a C driver. And then like the other guys we picked are on the bench. So, the lock is at the time of the race. So if they don't make the race, or if you see practice and it's, there's a guy you want to switch out that's on your bench, you can do that basically. So, which obviously we're not going to do a super speedway anyways, but okay, Rod. So we need to pick a group A starter.
Okay.
Here's our options: Ben Rhodes, Chase Purdy, Christian Eckes, Corey Heim, Jake Garcia, Kyle Busch, Matt Crafton, Nick Sanchez, Ty Majeski. We used Matt Crafton last week. And reminder on this, over on the driver group game, we have 9 starts for each of these drivers in the regular season. We used Crafton last week. He finished, 6th place for us, so it was really solid. So we have 8 starts left with him. Kyle Busch is on this list. 9 stars.
Too chalky to do it. I mean, we might as well do it because it's the only one.
It's really just us against them. There's only one other person that entered the contest. So, really, it's us against them. So, he's only going to start 5 races, so we don't have to worry about using him on a super speedway. Do we just want to use him up here and not waste someone else, basically?
Yeah, I say, let's do that. Because, everybody else on there, you don't want to.
I'll just put Crafton in as our bench guy because we're not going to swap Kyle Busch out anyways.
No, we're not.
Okay, so Group B, we are picking 2 starters in this one. We've got Brett Holmes, who also did well for us last week, so we've got 8 starts left with him. Daniel Dye, Dean Thompson, Grant Enfinger, Lawless Allen, Lane Riggs, Matt Mills, Stuart Friesen, both Gray brothers, Timmy Hill, Ty Dillon, and Tyler Ankrum.
I feel like you want to use Timmy Hill, but I'm thinking Eckes on this one would be a good one.
We have 2 starters from this group. So
all right, so
the thing with Eckes, though, we're going to be able to use him everywhere else. Do we want to burn him on a super speedway? Holmes did us good last week, and we're probably not going to use him anywhere else. That'd be the main reason I would lean towards him. I do think Timmy Hill's a great, and that's so those are the 2 guys we used last week was Holmes and Hill, and it worked out well for us.
All right, well then if it ain't broke, don't fix it.
If it ain't broke, don't fix it. We're going to ride these guys. And really, these are guys that we're probably only going to use here anyways, most likely.
I don't see them. So, I don't see them being used anywhere else.
We're not really going to use them anywhere else. So we'll just plug in 2 randos on the bench because it doesn't matter. Okay, and then Group C, we've got everyone else basically.
Oh God.
Armani Williams, Austin Wayne Self, Bailey Curry, note that name. Brian Duzant, Clay Greenfield, Cody Roba, Colby Howard, Connor Jones, Corey Roper, Drake Lemke, Haley Deegan, Jack Wood, Jake Drew, goodness, Jason White, Jennifer Joe Cobb, Jesse Love, who's not in this race anyways, John Atwell, Johnny Sauter.
Not in this race.
No, he's not either. Yeah. Josh Rayum, Justin Carroll. Jesus Christ.
Look. Just go
yeah.
Bailey Curry. Like we already know Bailey Curry is going to be one of those guys.
Right. Well, we only need one, but the other guy to highlight, Spencer Boyd, who we also used last week. We really killed this contest last week. Holy shit. We had all of the guys. That's who Phil texted me and he goes, God, because he talked to Boyd on their podcast too. And he's like, they were all really on him. And he goes, I left him on the bench. And that's Nick in the chat here says Spencer Boyd. So do we do Spencer Boyd or do we do Bailey Curry, who I like as well?
I feel like Bailey Curry would be a good one because Spencer Boyd, I don't want to be bitten by him.
You don't know if we can do it twice. And Phil's going to be so mad about it that they might play him, give us a chance
just
to
out of spite.
So
yeah.
Okay. Entry saved. Boom. We're entered. Again, check out the NASCAR betting preview show. They do their truck race as well. I think we're the only two podcasts that cover the truck series. And then of course they have an Xfinity show as well over there with Mike Bachman, who's does a great job, and not many people cover that as well. So love it. This is a fun thing to do. So I like it.
Well, and it is because then we get to compete against them. And we've always been big supporters of that whole, Phil and Derek.
Great buddies over there. They're doing a great job. They're killing it with all their work. Phil is the OG 6th season of doing a, Full Tank with Phil, his NASCAR Gambling Podcast. So those guys are killing it.
They are indeed. All right, we'll kill it on the other end of this. But first, let me tell you about Hall of Fame Bets. Win bigger by betting smarter this NBA season with Hall of Fame Bets, the sports betting analytics platform for parlays, player props, and game lines. Research every NBA and soccer bet with historical stats and data. Enter any parlay idea into Hall of Fame Bets revolutionary parlay optimizer tool to get hit rates broken down by leg as well as an expected probability for the entire parlay. Sort all players by hit rates for any bet to learn which players are hot and which picks have value. Stop betting in the dark. Join over 30,000 users researching with Hall of Fame Bets to craft more intelligent, data-driven parlays. Download the Hall of Fame Bets app or visit hofbets.com. Use code SGPN to get 50% off of your first month today. Start researching, start winning with Hall of Fame Bets. Like Cody said, we are off to the Atlanta Motor Speedway, the reconfigured, newly super speedway to Atlanta. Obviously, this is the third season now of this being in its configuration. And before, obviously, it was just a normal 1.5 miles. Now it's 1.5 miles with all that banking and all of that narrowness and the pack racing that goes with all of that as well. 135 laps around this 1.5 mile paved track, 207 miles into this race for the trucks. Again, it all happens so fast. It's so quick. Well, okay. The laps go by quick. Maybe not necessarily it goes by quick because the race itself could very much be into a ridiculous.
We did set the Daytona caution record last week. So.
Oh my God, that was insane. Well, listen, if it means anything, last year's freight to 208 came in at a tidy 217. And the average speed in that one was 92. There were 11 cautions for 58 laps and 17 lead changes in this race.
11 cautions. Good
11 cautions for 58 laps.
So just to break down a couple of notable things, right? If you get into looking at your own statistics, you want to look back. They've only raced twice on the new Atlanta. Atlanta prior to 2022, so 2021 and back, was a normal 1.5 mile racetrack and intermediate like everything else. They repaved it before the 22 season and basically turned it into a small super speedway. Daytona, Talladega, they're 2.5 miles and bigger, big super speedways, wide. You get the pack racing. Atlanta is a hybrid of an intermediate and a super speedway. It races like a super speedway, hence 11 caution flags. It's a smaller track, so it's only 1.5 miles. There is that part of it. The draft is still just as important as Daytona last week. It's going to have a lot of the same characteristics. It is a little bit smaller as far as not as much room to go 3 wide, not as much room to make moves like that. Obviously, the straightaway is not as long, being a mile shorter than Daytona is. So all those things are notable. When we get to the Cup Series, I think we'll talk about it more. It's really favored the favorites more than anything. I mean, we've had 4 Cup races. And it's all been big winners. I mean, it's Byron twice, Elliott, and Logano. Like, it's all superstars in the sport, right? Truck Series, we'll get into the stats here in a few. There can be definitely some bigger things. And with 11 crashes, you're going to get that anyways. Veterans, of course, guys we're going to continue to hit on. So all those things I think are important to set it up. Just to catch up on the chat before we jump into the picks. Is there a pro to driving the Truck Series if you're a regular in the Cup Series? They do say that the trucks are more similar to the Cup than the Xfinity cars are, which is why you've seen guys like Zane Smith, guys like Carson Hocevar jump from the trucks into Cup Series just based on how the current car is and everything now. I think seat time, and a lot of drivers will tell you this, seat time is just important in general, and having it on the track, being in the draft, getting some experience. Maybe you can take some notes. Is it a full-on comparison? Absolutely not. A guy like Kyle Busch is doing it because he loves to race. He loves to win. He loves to go out and compete. So I think that's just important. Myron was asking what book he just jumped on. Shout out to Myron. Myron had some big hits last week in these races. What book currently has truck odds? Caesars has got the full slate. Nick helped him out with that as well. And and Myron says, thank God they changed the Cup race from 500 to 400 miles. That 22 race took forever. We'll get into that on what we're doing. That's Cup tomorrow. So, all right, Rod. Finally, it's time to make picks for the truck race. Are you ready?
I am ready. Finally, we are getting that's the Rock's command from the other. Finally, can say, gentlemen or drivers, start your engines. Yes. But definitely, it's time to set up our bets. Cody, where are we going first?
Yeah, well, stop me if you've heard me talk about Timmy Hill before, but I'm going to jump right back on the Timmy Hill train. Look, Timmy Hill did us good last week. We took him for a couple of bets. They didn't quite hit. Now that is the unfortunate part, right? But he finished in 8th place. Guy for a long shot, that's what you're looking for. So we're going to run it back with Timmy Hill. He's still 18-1 to finish in the top 5. He's 20-1 to be the top Toyota. And let me pull up the list of, again, hitting on this top Toyota bet in these series where, well, really all the series, because Toyota just has the least amount of trucks out of all of them. It is just a smaller group of trucks. So there's only 2, 4. You do have 7 Toyotas in this, but still, it's not that crazy. You got Corey Heim, obviously. He's going to be the favorite. The 2 Gray brothers, Stuart Friesen, Dean Thompson, Colby Howard, and Timmy Hill. Who's in the one truck this week? Do we know that?
We do actually. Let me see. Here's the. Oh, that's fresh from Florida.
Where'd the entry list? Well, I had the entry list, but it seems to have disappeared. Here it is. Okay. Oh, it is Colby Howard.
Yeah.
Colby Howard's in the one. Weird. Okay. I guess that makes sense why he's on this list then. But anyways, back to my Timmy Hill point. We're going to go back to him. He did good last week for us, finishing 8th place at Daytona. You come back and you look here at Atlanta. He's got 1 start, 8th place in that start. So again, just outside of the top 5. And man, being that close, 8th place. Again, if we didn't learn anything at Daytona, how close are you if you're in 8th place to just winning the whole race? So JDK, he's late again. Let's go from the top. Lucky for you, we're on the first bet. We spent the whole rest of the show doing other stuff. So and Kevin thinks he's going to hammer Sanchez every week until his odds start looking ridiculous. Press the heck out of him. Super Speedway, so keep that in mind. Last week, also this week, but it's hard to argue against that. So, okay, back to Timmy Hill. 8th place in a start at Atlanta in the trucks. So already really close to doing it. Got 8th place last week at Daytona. You go back to Daytona before, a 16th, 2 14ths. Talladega, a 15th, a 6th, a 20th. Xfinity had a 2nd and a 3rd place at Daytona recently. He is just good at super speedways. Another thing, too, that I don't think many people have talked about, they got funding this offseason. That truck is full-time this season with just Timmy Hill in it because they got sponsorship for the entire season, something they haven't had recently. He's so good. One of those family-owned drivers. This is their chance to do good. This is their chance to get 8th place finishes for them are like victories. 5th place finishes for them are like victories. He can be in the mix. So give me Timmy Hill, top 5, 18-1. Timmy Hill, top Toyota, 20-1. Actually, it's dropped already from 20-1 to 16-1 over on Caesars. So already the lines are moving a little bit, but Timmy Hill for both of those.
Cody moving lines as we speak. Line moving. That is what the show is all about. So make sure you get him while the getting is good on Timmy Hill. All right, I'm going right back to that 45 truck. I'm telling you right now, Caden Honeycutt is in that 45 truck. If I'm going to consider all things being equal, now Caden Honeycutt, obviously not the long and storied history as a driver as Johnny Sauter, doesn't have all the success in the Truck Series. In fact, has very little Truck Series. He's got 20 Truck Series starts altogether in his career. He's really only got a total of 4 top 10s, so nothing huge to speak about. But he does have an 11th place at Talladega, which again we talked about as being really, really close to the front. In the 30 truck, no less. So he was able to manage that in a very less superior truck than that 45. The Nice truck is fast. Johnny Sauter led, I think, the most laps on Friday night. So to me, that of course tells me that 45 truck is definitely fast enough to be able to stay up front. All of the Nice trucks look good, and they look like they're going to be able to hang again this week in this style of racing. And like I said, I'm sort of tired of going with the safer picks now because I went with the safe picks last week and it bit me in the ass. So Caden Honeycutt is a top 5 is at plus 650. Like I said, it's not necessarily the driver that I'm more confident in than the truck, because we saw what the truck could do. Now we just hope that the driver can kind of white knuckle it and stay in the pack for most of the race, get lucky when shit hits the fan with 2 to go, and he's in the right place at the right time to sneak into a top 5 as well. I don't think he's going to be running in the top 5 all day. He could be running in the top 10 for most of the day, which puts him close enough to be a top 5 truck when the top 2 trucks decide they want to take each other out in the last 2 laps. And then there goes Caden Honeycutt sliding on by for a top 5 at plus 650. Like I said, maybe he is fast enough to be up front all day long. Who knows? But like I said, Johnny Sauter made that 45 look like it's a worthy enough truck to be a top 5 truck even this week, depending on the driver, just on its own. So hopefully hopefully that 45 truck has a memory of what it's like to be up front, and Caden Honeycutt is just a passenger at that point.
There you go. You know, when they say when your car, oh, my car wants to take this turn because I always go that way. That's what you need with that truck this week. So again, just survive, be there at the end, Rod. That's all it takes. Next up for me, going back to the well, we hit Brad Holmes' top 5 last week. The Bucks didn't feel it apparently enough because they left him out here. Plus 650 for a top 5 for Brad Holmes. Rod, he finished 4th place last week at Daytona in the most recent race at a similar track. He's still plus 650. How can you not take him again? You have to do it, right? I don't understand. He's got 1 start into the new Atlanta, 13th place. Again, if you're 13th place, you can be 5th place. It doesn't take much. Look, we just learned our lesson on this last night in the Cup and Xfinity Series and a couple of nights ago in the Truck Series of Daytona. So that's what it is. So 13th in his 1 start there. Daytona, now he has 2 starts, right? A 14th place and now a 4th place this past week. 3 starts at Talladega, a 16th and a 5th. The other finish is a 3rd place. We know Brad Holmes can do it. He was mixing it up with a chance to win that Truck Series race late. Got us the top 5 ticket that we cashed. Rolling that money right back into Brad Holmes this week. Plus 650. Why is he still that high when he just is coming off of a 4th place finish? I understand it's a super speedway. I understand he has to do it again, but he's done it before at Talladega. He's had solid runs here. He's had solid runs at Daytona, and he just did it last week. Give me Brad Holmes again, plus 650 for the top 5.
Again, if it ain't broke, don't fix it, right? This is another opportunity for him to get it done. And listen, I know that I said that I was joking that the cars have muscle memory, but they do. And when you put somebody in the same situation twice, it's a little more comfortable. I mean, if it was Daytona, right, and then we went to Vegas, and then we went to Atlanta, then you're kind of like, well, okay, well, you had a week to kind of forget the pack racing, and you got to get used to it again. But no, you're going straight from one draft to another draft. And so when you get in the rhythm of pack racing, then it's a little different than when you're going and breaking it up for a month or even a couple of weeks at a time. So, and
memory. You have to think too, right? It's fresh in everyone's mind. Him, the other drivers, they saw it last week. Hey, Brett Holmes is going to be up here. He can run up front with us. Hey, he's a good drafting buddy. Hey, I look up and see that 32 truck coming. I drafted with him last week. You think Kyle Busch wasn't watching the race from his motorhome at the track? Of course he was. He saw Brad Holmes up there. Maybe he wants to work with him. That stuff matters, especially when it's very fresh. They just raced a week ago. So, I mean, at this point, it hasn't been a week, but by the time we get to the race, it will have been a week. So it's fresh in everyone's minds. They know he can do it. He's proven he can do it. He's more right. He's got that confidence boost now. Hey, I just got a 4th place finish at Daytona. Let's go do it again. He can do it. He's not, shook up from having a crash last week or whatever the case is. He's ready to go get it. So, love just doubling up and rolling again with Brett Holmes.
Yeah, and his equipment isn't all banged up either, so he's definitely got something going for him at that. All right, listen, I'm going back to the well, and I'm taking Tyler Ankrum. This time, damn it, he is going to finish inside of the top 5. Plus 350 for Ankrum. He started 5th in Daytona. He finished 11th, right? But damn it, that truck had potential. That truck had potential all day long. That 18 truck just looked like it was going to be a factor at certain points. Unfortunately, it just didn't pan out that way all day for him. Obviously, he got kind of hung up in his own little incident as well, which kind of took him out of the mix. And then, of course, got caught up in part of that last one. It was a frustrating day for him. Obviously, you wanted better for Tyler Ankrum. He wanted better for Tyler Ankrum. But I think better is this coming week, right? I mean, were it not for that lap 95 incident, maybe we're seeing a Tyler Ankrum top 5 finish at the end. He definitely has the capacity to do it. Now, granted, this has not been a kind track to him so far, but he did have an 11th place finish in the 2022 race, right? So we talked about when it got reconfigured. But overall, listen, he's not bad. A 15th and 18th and 11th and 26th. Now, the only two that count are the 11 and the 26. And of course, he was in the 16 truck last year and not the 18 that he's in now. But I argue that maybe this is a better ride for him anyways. And we saw it kind of play out last week as well. Daytona in general, pack racing in good trucks, 7th and 11th, right? 11th last week, 7th in the first Daytona 500 that he was in the 16, or the second rather, that he was in the 16. So again, this is something that I think he can do. Talladega, a top 10 in 2022, a 7th place in 2019 in the 17 truck even. So Tyler Ankrum has the capacity. Will he have the luck? I think is the only thing that we're going to see, whether or not he gets in that top 5. So, and I still like the fact that it's plus 350, which means it's still a pretty decent payout for a truck that should be around the front most of the day, if not inside the top 5. Like I said, he started 5th in Daytona, which, yes, I know starting positions means absolutely nothing, but it shows there's speed there. It shows there's the truck can hang around the front of the pack. So, give me Tyler Ankrum, top 5 plus 350.
Yeah, he looked so good last week at Daytona. So it's hard to argue with that. I like getting back on it. Kevin S., 2 straight weeks of speedways. Feels like going to 7 rock concerts in 1 week. I'm worn out already. Wait till we get to the end of the Cup race on Sunday, and we've gone through 3 more races of super speedway betting. We'll all be ready for Las Vegas next week and more of a just normal track to cool our jets on, right? So
yeah, you're worn out. My tinnitus is acting up. That's how that is.
Yeah, exactly. Next up for me, I am going to depart a little bit from running with the guys I was with last week. A guy I was extremely impressed with at Daytona. I mentioned this on the recap show. If I got a chance to bet on Ben Rhodes this week, I'm going to take it. Rod, I've got a chance to bet on Ben Rhodes this week. I am going to take it. I'm going to take him top 3 plus 340. I'm also going to take him to win Group A. Now, this is not an easy group by any means, but I think that Ben Rhodes, I think he showed it last week. I don't want to say he's Austin Hill, because I think Austin Hill's kind of on another planet at this moment for the Xfinity Series when it comes to super speedways. But Ben Rhodes, very many similar characteristics. He can get up there. He can run well. He can do well and really just show up. So I think Ben Rhodes is going to have a great day. I think he can finish in the top 3, cash that plus 342 for you. Also think, even though this is a loaded group, the reason that I'm taking Ben Rhodes in this is he's got the longest odds, which just don't make sense. So really, this group is the 6 guys that are probably the best in this field besides Kyle Busch. So luckily, Kyle Busch not included. It's Christian Eckes, Corey Heim, Grant Enfinger, Ty Majeski. Okay, maybe he's the one that's not part of the 6 best. Nick Sanchez and Ben Rhodes. So again, extremely little group. Eckes, Heim 300. Enfinger's 400, and then Majeski, Sanchez, and Rhodes are 500. But Ben Rhodes is so good at super speedways. He's been good in the past. looked so good last week, and the result wasn't there. 30th, which that's where you take advantage of this, right? Because he looked good. He had a good run. He got caught up in the wrecks. It's super speedway racing. That happens, right? But we know what he's capable of. We know the ceiling, but they're looking back and they're saying, well, he finished. Well, I don't know if they're looking at last week's results based on some of these other guys and how they left them priced low, but looking back and saying 30th, whatever, throw them in this group and you're getting a good value on Ben Rhodes. So you look back, we've had 2 races here at Atlanta, Rod, in this new package, 2nd place and a 5th place. That's a pretty good track record. That's a small sample size, of course, it's only 2 races, but that's what we have to look at on this track in this current configuration. So again, 30th at Daytona, not the greatest, but prior to that, 11th, 2nd, 1st in the previous 3 starts before that. Very good. You go back to his last 4 at Talladega, 2nd, 13th, and 4th. He is really freaking good at super speedways. Showed it again last week. Accidents happen. You get caught up in them. It goes for everyone, right? It doesn't matter how good you are. You can get caught up in the wrecks. It can ruin your day. It happened to Ben Rhodes last week. I don't think that it happens again this week. So give me Ben Rhodes. Top 3, plus 340. And then to win Group A over Eckes, Heim, Enfinger, Majeski, and Sanchez. Again, loaded group, but the number is right for me to want to take it. Also, Colt jumping in the chat saying, what sportsbook is best to bet on the Truck Series? Everything we're giving out tonight is from Caesars. They're the only ones I've seen so far that have any truck odds, and they've got a full slate of them. They seem to offer the best variety across all series of NASCAR at this point in time that I've noticed. So that's the place I would definitely recommend.
Yeah, they definitely give you a full, and I mean the whole gambit too. Now, obviously, we always want more, but they do give you.
But I mean,
and they give you the head-to-heads. They give you the numbers.
Top manufacturers. You got top 5, top 3. They got a ton of options. So Caesars is really for most. Bet365 is a good one for a lot of like the open wheel stuff and even some cup stuff too, if you're able to get it. But yeah, for the 3 NASCAR series, like Caesars seems to be the book to go to right now. So definitely the one I would recommend. And the one we're giving all the lines out tonight because they're the only ones who've got anything for us. So shout out to them for that.
Just to answer Nick's question real quick. Are we doing head-to-heads? No, we don't have any head-to-heads. We don't like head-to-heads.
Again, I mean, if you listened last week, we had 1 head-to-head between all 3 series last week. And because we were following the Golden Super Speedway rule, there's 2 this week, by the way, on that rule. So we'll get into that tomorrow. I've already circled those, wrote them down in the document. So head-to-heads on super speedways, they're just tough. There's some out there, but man, it's just I try not to avoid it. Now next week we go to Las Vegas. I don't know if the trucks are racing at Vegas. I don't think they are. But when we get to the next week with the other series at Las Vegas, we'll be deep in head-to-heads, right? We'll have multiple head-to-heads, and that'll be a normal thing on normal weeks. Super speedways, it's just so risky. I'm not, you're not heavily investing on the super speedways, right? It's more about putting sprinkles out there on bigger numbers, minus 110, plus 110. Unless you really think you're getting something great, just isn't the best way to invest super speedway money, in my opinion, when the wrecks can be that bad. I think Rod agrees, and that's why they just don't make our card really outside of fading. Sorry, Chris, outside of fading Kyle Larson at super speedways. So it's tough to do the head-to-heads.
Yeah. And yes, the trucks will be at Las Vegas. And spoiler alert, so will I. I actually am going to be going to the Las Vegas
that's
race
next week. I'm so excited for you.
Yeah. And I'm going to be there for pretty much, I think I'm going to go for all 3 series for the truck, Xfinity, and up. So that's going to be a lot of fun.
Yeah, I'm excited for that for you. Have you been to Las Vegas track yet?
I've never been to
You've never been to an oval, have you?
I know. This will be my first oval.
God, yes. I'm pumped for you. That's going to be so awesome.
Yeah.
I can't wait to see everything you have for us next week. So, yeah, Rod's going to be on the ground in Las Vegas for the races next week. I'm glad, man, all 3 series to start the season, all 3 weeks. I love it. That is great.
That is great. All right. I am going to go with last week's race winner, but I'm going to just put him in the top 3. His top 3 odds are at plus 340. And for the race winner to still be at plus 340 for a top 3 finish, this is the best you'll see. You won't see this on any other track where the guy who won the race last week is going to be even above plus 150 to be a top 3 truck. Yeah. So I'm definitely going to take that. And not just
Chat's
that.
all over this with you too.
Oh, there you go.
They're all over Sanchez. You got Kevin S., Nick Fortune. Kevin says now's the chance. Yep. If he stays hot, the odds will plummet. Hit him now. So they're all in on Sanchez.
And they should be, because for Nick Sanchez on this track, his only other finish is a runner-up finish. And he started 20th. So again, starting position doesn't matter. So he finishes second in 2023 on this track. So fantastic run from there. Talk about Daytona, right? He ended up winning last week at Daytona. Talladega, his only start in Talladega, started second, finished seventh. We know that Nick Sanchez is a good racer, and he proved it to the whole world last week. And I think he's going to do it again this week. He knows how to stay out of trouble. He knows how to put himself in the right position at the right time. He knows how to just sort of be where he needs to be. And that's, as we saw last week, that's the most important thing to do on plate and on track, on pack racing, is just be where you need to be, right? Figure out how to stay out of trouble, how to stay out of everybody else's melees, and make it to the end. And I think Nick Sanchez obviously is the guy to do that. Like I said, he finished second here in his only start after a great day. So I think he can do it again. In top three, like I said, a plus 340. You won't see that for the race winner again for the next week. And I know it's chalky. I know Nick Sanchez, obviously, when he wins, people are like, oh, well, I could have called Nick Sanchez. Well, then do it. Because if you don't, then you're being irresponsible. Because you have to give good picks. Doesn't matter whether or not everybody else is going to be on him. Sometimes you got to take the pick that's right there in front of you. And Nick Sanchez is a top three, I think, is right there in front of us, and we have to take it.
Yeah, I love it. Actually, I had this one penciled in. I decided to leave it off, so I'm really glad you went with it. It's a great number for the guy who just won last week. I mean, you made all the points. I agree. The guys in the chat talking about it. How do you not get in on him? I think you have to. And I know Myron said to enjoy it while you can, because Kyle Busch is going to ruin it this week. There is the potential of that. Kevin said he thought Busch was going to leave the trucks after he sold KBM. He did say he would run the 5 races for them a couple of times. So, yeah, but I really do like this one. And like I said, it almost made my card. I just left it off. So I'm glad you took it, because I think that it is a good bet.
Outstanding. All right. What do we got going on next, Cody?
Next up for me, I'm going to jump over to the Bailey Curry camp. Not a guy we've talked about much, if ever, before, but I'm on him this week. He's in one of those niche trucks, like you talked about earlier with Caden Honeycutt. Bailey Curry, he's run a full-time in that truck Carson Hocevar was in last year. He's plus 450 for a top 5. Again, another week of where top 5s and kind of throwing some darts out there is kind of the way to go on this. And look, paid off for us last week. Really almost paid off for us on a couple bets last week. I think, again, that's the strategy to run with this week. So he's got one Atlanta start, Rod. Top 5, 4th place in that one Atlanta start on the new Atlanta. Let's see. That means he's 100% and finishing in the top 5 in Atlanta on this new track. So Daytona, he just finished 13th. Again, not a top 5, but man, if you're running at the end, you're finishing 13th. You're not that far from the top 5. You love to see it. Has a 15th place Talladega back in 2020 as well. So not a ton of experience, not a ton of results to look back on. But the one time that he raced here, he was solid with that 4th place finish. He's in the niche truck. We know they've got a lot of friends. Chevy has a lot of friends. Matt Jones checking in, says he likes the niche trucks. We do too this week. Is the second one we've given out. So love Bailey Curry to get another top 5 here at Atlanta, plus 450.
Be fun if it was Honeycutt and Bailey both linked up there toward the end, and they're the two that managed to find their way to maybe that 3rd groove at the end, and they get both in the top 5. Be fun for us, right? That'd be a fantastic finish, having both of those niche trucks inside of the top 5 because they were drafting together. So let's go. Racing gods, this is what we want to happen.
I think they can work together. They can make it happen.
I think so too. All right. My next bet is manufacturer based. I'm going to take Toyota over Ford at minus 105. Toyota did finish better than Ford in the Daytona race. I was going to say the Daytona 500. The fresh from Florida 250.
They did finish better than Ford in the Daytona 500 too.
They did too. Absolutely, they did. Corey Heim was the top finishing Toyota in 3rd. The top finishing Ford was Matt Crafton in 7th place. So again, it doesn't need to be a ridiculously huge margin. It just needs to be at least one truck over. And then when you look at what happened in this race before, in 2023, it was John Hunter Nemechek as the top finishing Toyota in 3rd. The top finishing Ford rather in 5th was Ben Rhodes. And the year before that, well, let's just say Toyota pretty much kicked their ass. Toyota, the top 4 cars in the entire race with Heim, Rhodes was a Toyota at the time, Majeski and Chandler Smith, and Zane Smith was the top finishing Ford. So there was 4 Toyotas to 1 Ford. Actually, if you really want to get technical, there was 6 Toyotas in that, or 5 Toyotas rather, in that top 6 and 1 Ford. So Toyota's outperformed Ford in a lot of the instances in this track, in this configuration, and of course in the last super speedway race that we got. Well, who are we talking about when we're talking about it this time? Well, Garcia is in the mix in a Ford. Maggio is in a Ford. McKee is in a Ford. Lawless Allen, Lane Riggs, Connor Jones, Crafton and Majeski, and Rhodes, right? Those are all your Ford drivers. In Toyota, you got Colby Howard, Dean Thompson, Corey Heim, both Grays, Friesen, and Timmy Hill. So any one of those guys can finish better than any of the Ford guys, then I think you are in
another Timmy Hill bet right there. That's what that is.
That's especially it is a Timmy Hill bet or a Gray bet for that matter.
Yeah.
Who knows?
And Heim, we'll be talking about Heim in a minute. He's
Corey
pretty good
Heim
here
as
as well.
Yeah, so there you go. Steven says, think y'all should hire an official SGPN photographer. Please.
Agreed. You know Ryan and Sean, hit them up.
Yeah,
we'll see what they think about that. But
I would love to use, and then I would take you all around the track.
I like it. Hit them up. See what they say.
Beautiful. All right, so that is it. Toyota over Ford -105 for me on this truck race.
All right, gonna bring back the truck lift this week. Rod, rolling with Spencer Boyd yet again. Gonna take him top. Well, let's see. I somehow left out his top 3 number, which I should not have done. So if this is going to be a true 50 to 1, holy shit. All right. Spencer Boyd. I don't know if you've heard of him. He might've cashed some bets for us last week, potentially. He definitely did because he finished in 5th place in the top 5. So I got to run it back with Spencer Boyd. Look, I don't know what Caesars is doing. They're sleeping. Maybe they're only looking at his past Atlanta results because they're not the greatest. But we're running back the Spencer Boyd truck lift. 50 to 1 for a top 3, 17 to 1 for a top 5, 250 to 1 to win the race. Right? 250 to 1 to win the race for a guy who finished 4th place at Daytona last week. I rest my case, or 5th place, whatever. He finished 5th place, but still, he was right there. He was in the mix. He had chances to win that race at the end, and he was right there. I don't understand. So if you look at his finishes at Atlanta, he does have he's raced in both plate races here at Atlanta, and he's been 20th and 21st. So not the greatest of finishes at Atlanta here in his 2 attempts. I will give him that. But he's 150 to 1 to be the top Chevrolet. Okay, we're going to add that. All right, Rod, we're adding that into top Chevy, 150 to 1. Okay, Spencer Boyd truck lift. Here we go. Top 3, 50 to 1. Top 5, 17 to 1. Top Chevy, 150 to 1. Win the race, 250 to 1. 5th place last week at Daytona. And again, you go back and you look through his starts here. He's won at Talladega before. He's got a 7th and a 13th place finish at Talladega. He's got a 4th place finish at Daytona, 11th, 13th, 19th. He's consistently just good at these plate tracks. They went all in last week. Why wouldn't they do it again this week? Look how close he got. He was 4th place right there in the mix at the end. Give me Spencer Boyd just being absolutely disrespected by the books this week. Got to run it back.
And again, it's just a matter of you have to take the bet. Sometimes it's right in front of you. And Spencer Boyd, you can't ignore what he did last week. And he's certainly not going to ignore it. So definitely take that truck lift because any one of those hits like it did last week, you have a pretty decent day on your hands. Obviously, you take that and break up a unit and put it across all of them. That way you're not losing your
use some of the money you won on them last week. I mean, just,
Reinvestment.
roll it back over, baby.
Reinvestment in the Spencer Boyd truck lift. So love it. All right. Cody, what truck number does Spencer Boyd drive?
He is number 76 for the Freedom team.
There you go. 76. Is that above 50?
1, 2, 3, 4. Yes, it is.
Okay, well, then you're going to like this next bet. I have the winning truck number of 50 or more. So 50 plus. This is at plus 220. when you break down these numbers, all right, so 0 to 9 is at plus 120, 10 to 19 is at plus 9. Now, 0 to 9 obviously will get you Kyle Busch, right? It'll get you Nick Sanchez. It'll get you all these sexy names that are in there too. And then 10 to 19, there you get the Ekises, and then you get the, all these guys that are within the 10 to 19. That's a sexy one as well. That's a plus 195. But right there in the third place is 50 plus at plus 220. Right. And that gets you everybody else on the other side of that. That gets you Stuart Friesen, Timmy Hill. That gives you Raja Karuth. That gives you Spencer Boyd. It gives you Kraft, and it gives you Majeski. It gives you Rhodes. It's a pretty heavy hitting group. Right. So I think if you're going to hedge yourself from anybody outside of that number line, this is a pretty decent way to hedge on that, because that's a lot of heavy hitters and a lot of people that have the opportunity, and a lot of former race winners too. So, to me, this is a really good opportunity for you to get in on it. If you want 20 to 49, that's plus 340. But again, 20 to 49, you're getting Maggio, you're getting McGee, you're getting Ty Dillon, you're getting Holmes, you're getting Allen, you're getting Riggs, you're getting Curry. And that's really about it. So it's not really much outside of that. Daniel Dye, Honeycutt, Moffitt. But those aren't necessarily as sexy. But if you want to chase after it, anything can and would happen. And at plus 340, can't really fault you for it. But I feel more comfortable giving you 50 or more at plus 220. Nick Fortune says over 17 and a half is plus
Even
100
money
on Caesars. It's not
That's
bad.
a good one too. Yeah, I like, you can do it both ways. Really, you could take both of them, and if you think Kyle Busch isn't going to win, of course. But yeah, look, Rod is the numbers guy. He's good at this. Who won? Well, Sanchez. Yeah.
So the 51
Sanchez
truck
won.
The 51 truck has won a couple of these races in Atlanta, right? So that's Busch and Sanchez in the 51. Oh, not Sanchez. Busch and Heim. Yeah, in the 51. So yeah, again, it's just the KBM truck. So
yeah, and I like it. I mean, I remember the Truck Series last week. It was like first place was 2, and then everybody else in the top 10 was all over the number you gave out. So yeah, I think plus 220. Again, when you got those windows, I think that's the way to go. So yeah, I like it.
All right, all that's left to do now is to pick who is going to win this Freight 208 from Atlanta.
Hotlanta. Here we go, Rod, with the winners. Of course, I've got Spencer Boyd already in there, 250 to 1. Don't forget to place that one, because you'll regret it if you don't. Corey Heim, 8 to 1. Gonna dip up into the favorites a little more than I normally do on super speedways here, but Heim is pretty good on super speedways in general, and I think he's gonna be good here at Atlanta as well. Does have a win, as you mentioned, in the 51 truck back in 2022. Last year he was 34th, right? He got caught up in it. Again, that's a super speedway sweepstakes. That's how it goes. You can get caught up in things. I do think his numbers will push down a little bit more than it was last week. Kyle Busch in this race, I think, kind of affecting that, right? So I do like Heim at 8 to 1. Second place at Daytona just last week, by the way. So he was right there in the mix, right? At the end of it. 8th place last season at Daytona. 5th place last season at Talladega. He's been a very good truck driver in general. Very good super speedway truck driver. So going to get on Heim time a little bit early this year. So like it at 8 to 1. Ben Rhodes, 12 to 1. Mentioned him earlier, talked him up. Look, he was so fucking good looking last week. And look, neither of us have Kyle Busch. Spoiler alert. He's plus 300 to win again. We talked about it with Austin Hill. And Austin Hill, I haven't even seen, I've not looked at Xfinity numbers. What could his number possibly be this week? It's got to be just
minus
absolutely,
6,000.
Yeah, he's going to be Max Verstappen. Let's see. I want to check just real quick. Plus 300. He is plus 300 again, which is, I guess, whatever. But you cannot bet that on a super speedway. It just, too many things can go wrong. You even saw it with Austin Hill last week. He got caught up in a wreck. He had a flat tire. He had this. And I know he fought his way back, and I know he won it, but too many times it got snatched from his hands. Kyle Busch in the Truck Series, in the Xfinity Series the last couple of years, it's not been, there was a period in time when he was racing the Gibbs cars in Xfinity. He was blowing everything out. He was 5 for 5. He would just win every single race. Times are a little different. There's a lot more talent in these series than there used to be. A lot more young kids that are really going all for it. And you toss in the super speedway thing, man, you can't trust a guy like Kyle Busch as much. So I wanted to toss that out there because he's such a heavy favorite. But back to Rhodes, 12 to 1 to win. Love him this week. I think he's the type of guy that can beat Kyle Busch. Just heads up. Brett Holmes, run it back, 65-1, 4th place last week, Rob. Come on. I mean, he was right there with that chance to catch this one for us last week. How are you going to bet that last week? He gets that close, not take it this week. He wins the race and you don't have that ticket? No, thank you. I do not want to be there. So Brett Holmes, 65-1, 4th place in the mix last week. I think he could do it again this week.
Yeah, again, for me, I do definitely love the Heim one. It's a matter of he's just too good, and he's been good on this track, and he's been good in plate races altogether. Ben Rhodes, I mean, I don't know. You got to get on him because I'm not. I'm so tired of Ben Rhodes.
Dude,
I love him, but
super speedways, though, he's so good.
I know.
Look, I mean, just you go back 2nd and 5th in his 2 starts here, really good. You know, not including this past Daytona race last week. He's 11th, 2nd, 1st. 2nd, 13th, 4th in his last 4 at Talladega. Really good super speedway. And he just, watching him last week was so impressive. And I know he got caught up in the wreck and it happens. And I'm sort of, in a way, glad that happened for the number because it's keeping his number low. He didn't spoil it for us this last week. Now you get the chance to jump on him. He should be 8-1. He should be 7-1 maybe in this race. He's 12-1. Get that number early. I will say go about that now because I don't think that number sticks. I think you'll see Ben Rhodes' number drop. He'll be 10-1, 8-1 by the time we get to the race on Saturday.
Yeah, especially after qualifying. If he comes out and does well, then you definitely won't see this number at 12-1. All right, my winners start with Christian Eckes at 8-1. Going back to the well with Christian Eckes. We didn't do it. I don't think I got him last week, but I definitely had him a lot over the course of the season last season. But for Christian Eckes, look, here's the thing. He won this race in 2023, all right? He was 3rd place after finishing in the pole in 2020. Christian Eckes, I know, is not driving the same truck. He's driving the 19 this year, which is, not his normal truck. But, look, I still think Christian Eckes is definitely a good enough driver to get it done no matter what truck he is in. So, give me that. Actually, he is driving the same truck as he did last year that he won it in. So never mind. I'm sorry. I'm getting confused over who's Finger's the one in the new ride.
And some of these guys, I mean, Eckes was in the 98 for a while. Yeah. So these guys change rides often and it gets confusing at points.
But he led 35 laps last season in this 19 truck. I think he could go back to back, right? I mean, it's definitely something that is well within his realm of possibility. So I'm not afraid to go ahead and take Christian Eckes as an outright, especially at this number. I mean, this 8-1 for a guy like you were talking about, it should be 8-1, right? Should be these are the guys that he should be lower than that, having won this race last season, but he's not. So you definitely need to swoop up on that number. He did have a top 10 finish last week at Daytona, right? A 10th place finish, which, as we know, is close enough to be able to get the lead if 9 cars wreck out in front of you. So give me Christian Eckes to win this at 8-1. My longer shot, I don't know that I've ever really said his name on the Truck Series show, but Raja Carruth at 28-1. I'm really impressed with him being able to keep himself out of trouble and come away with a 2nd place finish in that race. They moved him up to 2nd, didn't they? I think that was what they ended up doing.
For who?
For Raja Carruth.
Yeah, that's right. Carruth did get 2nd. I think I said Heim got 2nd, but
Raja Carruth ended up finishing 2nd.
No, Heim got 2nd. Carruth got 3rd. Carruth was originally scored 2nd, but they changed him to 3rd. That's what it was. But so he did finish 3rd.
Yeah, but still a 3rd place finish. That's damn good for a Spire truck, and he's in that Spire truck, right? Which, guess what? Who's his teammate going to be on that track? Oh yeah, Kyle Busch. So I definitely think that if those two link up, and quite possibly Raja Carruth has the opportunity to win this race. I know Kyle Busch will probably want to push it past and get, try to get it. But look, if Raja Carruth is in position, that'd be fantastic for him to be able to swoop in and win this race. And what a great story, because he's been chasing after this for a while, obviously. And so why not sort of award him with this? So like I said, his Atlanta, not great track record here in Atlanta. Last year in the trucks, he finished 25th after 22nd place start, but he was in the 24 truck, right? He was in the Gallagher truck. He wasn't in the Spire truck, and he didn't have Kyle Busch as a teammate. So I think we're going to see a really great race, just like Kevin S. is saying here in the chat, kept himself out of trouble because he caused plenty. He sure as hell did. But sometimes you got to get a little messy to get the good finish, and he did. Third place finish last week. Could be a win if he's in the right position again this week.
Yeah, I like it. I mean, again, last week we just talked about it, right? They're coming fresh off of it. He's got the confidence. I heard Bubba Wallace on Door Bumper Clear today talking about Raja. There was that video, of him pulling Raja aside. Some people take it out of context. Of course, those two guys are pals, and Bubba's a mentor to Raja. But the way those guys were talking about it, like Raja's sitting up on the spotter stand when he's not racing, asking spotters questions and watching things, like studying the game. Look, I don't know if you've heard of this William Byron guy that's got 11 Cup Series wins, but Rick Hendrick threw him in that 24 car to succeed Jeff Gordon. No, wait, that's not what happened. Never mind. And everybody was just like, what, and he's not doing much. He's not doing. And now look at the kid. Like when Rick Hendrick puts his eyes on somebody, and there's a big circle around Raja Caruth from Rick Hendrick. Hence Hendrick Motor, Cars.com, being on Caruth's truck, the Kyle Busch aspect of it, being able to work with him. That he worked well with Corey LaJoy last week. I love Corey LaJoy, but Kyle Busch has got a lot more experience. He's done it a lot more times, especially in the trucks. And so, having that element too, 28-1, I think is a really great steal. You're never going to talk me off of Eckes. Love that dude. He's going to win a ton of races this season. So I think they're both great picks from you.
Thank you very much. All right, everybody. Get out your pen and paper. We're going to go over our picks for this Freight 208 and Atlanta. Cody started you out with Timmy Hill as the top 5 truck at 18-1 and top Toyota at 16-1. I said Caden Honeycutt would sneak his way inside of the top 5 at plus 650. Cody gave you Brett Holmes as a top 5 truck at plus 650. I gave you Tyler Ankrum as a plus 350 top 5 truck as well. Cody gave you Ben Rhodes to win Group A at plus 5. Group A at plus 500. It is late. Over Eckes, Heim, Enfinger, Majeski, Sanchez, and a top 3 truck at plus 340. And also behind the scenes, this is my third pod of the day. So I think I've run out of words in the English language to give it out. I gave you Nick Sanchez as a top 3 truck at plus 340. Cody gave you Bailey Curry as a top 5 truck at plus 450. I gave you Toyota to finish better than Ford at minus 105. Cody said to ride that Spencer Boyd truck lift all the way to the top. Top 3, 50-1. Top 5, 17-1. Top Chevy, 150-1. And to win the race at 250-1. I said if he does, that'll make my winning truck number hit. That's 50 or more at plus 220. And then Cody gave you Corey Heim at 8-1, Ben Rhodes to win at 12-1, and Brett Holmes at 65-1. I said Christian Eckes at 8-1, and maybe a little surprise on Raja Caruth at 28-1 to win this race. Cody, we are thankful to the books. Nick Fortune saying, let's win some money this weekend. That is the end goal for this show all the time. So hopefully you guys do win some money. And listen, we've had fun. It's so amazing to me how much this show has exploded over the last week. And I just am so excited and encouraged by it.
Yeah, absolutely. We appreciate it. Thanks. If you've been around, we appreciate you. If you're new, we appreciate you. You guys all make it keep going. So thank you very much. Man, we got to talk. We got to make some bets tonight when we didn't think we were going to. So it's great. Back tomorrow with Cup Series bets. Doing everything a little out of order this week, but hey, you gotta run with the punches. Go with what they give you. Cup Series tomorrow. Xfinity Series on Thursday. DFS/Underdog on Friday. It's going to be so much fun. Super Speedway racing again. Let's go.
I'd be fine if they gave us trucks this early every single week.
Yeah,
that would be fantastic.
Let's go. Get that shit out on. I mean, they race half the time on Friday. It should be out by Sunday. We should be placing truck bets while we're watching the Cup race. I think that should be a new rule. So, Caesars, get on that. Kevin S., thanks for the info, fellas. Great show. Appreciate you, Kevin. Nick with one more. Let's go. Yes, let's go. Let's go make some money on the trucks this weekend, Rod. You can find me, all my work, over on the X, at Husker_Zeeb. Follow the show as well, at NASCAR Gambling. Again, if you're listening to the podcast, go subscribe to the YouTube. Click the bell. You can jump in the live chat with us every once in a while or every time. We appreciate it. Let's go make some money on some trucks this week.
Indeed. Follow me on X at RJ Villagomez. Link in the about everything I got going on, whether it's here, whether it's in between media, on the back road with Seth and Elliott, or on the Sportsbook Review where I put up some of my racing stuff every once in a while. All right. Just like Cody said, we'll be back tomorrow with some Cup Series picks. So we'll see you then. Click the bell. Make sure you know when we go live. And so until then, let's go racing and let it ride.